Hello, friends, and welcome to Page Chewing, episode 17, I believe. I keep losing track. But we are here with two awesome booktubers, and of course, my partner, P.L. Stuart, author of A Drunk Kingdom. Go check out that book, it's right there. And it's a great audiobook, too, by the way. But today we're here with Pax Panic and Book Blather, Dave, and Olive is here, too. So, Pax, do you want to tell us about you and your channel?
I run the Panic Room, uh, as you can see. And yeah, we just have fun. I love horror books, that's my thing, but I really will read just about anything. Horror is my love, my passion. So it's usually that. But yeah, we just have fun. I do all sorts of things. We do stuff in my kitchen. I do vlogs where I do crafts. God only knows what you'll find, honestly. That's true. And we just started poetry, dark poetry, not like flowers, more like blood. So there's that too. So you never know what you're gonna find.
Nice. And Dave, what about you and your channel?
All right, so Olive and I have a channel, Book Blather, and yeah, we kind of do in terms of subject matter. We review all kinds. We do some. And I actually was never really into horror until I started doing BookTube, and now it's one of the things I read more of. So we do horror, but we also do fantasy, sci-fi, regular fiction, nonfiction, graphic novel here and there, and yeah, we do the usual booktube stuff. When we started out, it was just like a wrap up once a month, but now we do everything. We do videos much more often now. So we do the hauls. We've even started doing tags. Done a couple of those. So you're probably just your typical, I guess, your typical booktube channel at this point.
And PL, do you want to tell us about you and your work?
I'm P.L. Stuart. I'm the author of the Drowned Kingdom saga. Currently, two books out. The first one's The Drowned Kingdom, and the second one's The Last of the Atalanteans. It's part of a 7-book series. Book 3, Lord and King, is expected to drop in spring of 2023. And I also, of course, I'm privileged to be the co-host on Steve's channel of Page Chewing, which is, just a phenomenal thing that we've started together. Where we feature creatives from the writing community, awesome creatives like Pax and Dave. And I also, Steve and I are also both bloggers for the wonderful Before We Go blog led by the awesome Tabblers. So you can find reviews and things like that there on Before We Go blog, feature articles. So great place to check out what's going on in the fantasy, sci-fi, and horror community. So yeah, so that's me, and happy to be here.
Yes. So we have to mention this because we got the title from Pax. It was Pax's idea. So thank you, Pax.
Pax.
Thank you. I was so
title.
excited. I was so excited. I never win anything, so that was amazing.
It was a perfect title.
Down? Is that?
Might have some.
And Mr. Morningstar is here. Hello, Mr. Morningstar.
Oh, Mr. Morningstar.
Stars here.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Reading hello,
Reading
nice life.
MJ.
Hey, Albert.
Albert. Oh my gosh, I know everyone so far.
Yeah. And our friend and author Jeff Lane is here as well. Hey, Jeff.
Wow, awesome.
Alicia's here. Alicia's going to start a YouTube channel. I'm not sure if that's started yet, but
wow, congratulations.
Woo, congratulations,
Congratulations. Amazing.
Looking forward to that. Of course, Crystal's here.
Crystal.
Hi, Crystal.
Oh, cool gamer.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Books, I just got so excited. Oh, okay.
Oh, awesome.
Do I have any pages stuck in my teeth? And tangible reads is here.
Reads is here. Oh my gosh, I could cry. Like I've wanted to talk to these people in person for like a year. So.
Wow. Hiya. Hey.
All these beautiful people brightening my day.
Tangible reads is a sweetie. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
She's talking about the 3 of you, not me.
Yeah, no, not me. Yeah.
Oh, you have the fuzzy one.
You guys are bringing all the stars, man. You guys are bringing out this huge following. So, wow, that's amazing.
I'm very lucky. I have some of the most wonderful people in the whole world. So.
Yeah.
And Pax, I wanted to ask you about, because all of my non-horror friends ask me, what do you like about horror? Why do you like reading about awful things? What is it about horror that appeals to you? So I
What do you
wanted to
like
ask
reading
you,
about horrible
yeah,
things?
yeah,
Well, I think it's interesting, and I think it's a way that you can experience something. It's almost like a roller coaster. Like nobody wants to go that fast on the freeway, but there's lines out the door for roller coasters at theme parks, right? So with horror, you can experience at least a little bit of that adrenaline, that intrigue, if you will, to the darker parts of the human mind from the safety of a book. And I've always sort of been drawn more to that side of things, and it interests me to no end. I've said it countless times. My favorite type of horror is when I can get in here. Blood, guts, and gore is fine, but it's fine. But I like getting in here. I just think it's fascinating to see what makes people like this tick. It's endlessly fascinating to me.
And Dave, you mentioned not being too into horror before you started the channel. What about horror? What brought you to that genre as you started your channel?
I I think once I started BookTube, I started gravitating towards a lot of more horror and transgressive fiction, and I think that's primarily because of one person. Is because one of my original, you know who I'm going to say.
Oh yeah, I know,
I know exactly what you're gonna
Yeah.
say.
I mean, Juan over Plagued by Visions. He was one of you get your when you first start in BookTube, you get your first couple of buddies that you run with, and so he was one of my first couple buddies that I ran with way back when he was at only like 200 subscribers, and so yeah, he just we ran together a lot, and he just really got me into reading. I really hadn't read like pretty much any horror or transgressive fiction before that. So it's really just like the last 2 years I've started reading that stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's tough to pinpoint what I like about it. I guess it's just that I don't know, maybe kind of like PAX. I like to I do like the psychological and the emotional aspects of the horror more than the gore. Not that there's anything wrong with gore, but I do like that stuff more. And I don't know, I just find myself really drawn to these books where you're really just exploring the darker side of people's psyches, society, and I just I don't know. There's I guess there's a lot of that out there, and it's just interesting, I think, to explore that through literature. It's I mean, I'm really glad I've been turned on to those genres, but it's yeah. I mean, I'm an old man now, and I went through many years, never reading any of it, and so I'm glad I've started though.
Nice.
So I mean, you read, Steve, you read a fair bit of horror, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what do you like about it?
Ooh, look at him turning the tables on those.
Yeah. I think it's a way to it's not real. That's why I have trouble with true crime stuff. Like I try to stay away from true crime stuff usually because it's a little too close to home. Like the Richard Lehman book. I forget the one that's based on the
Girl Next Door.
Girl Next Door. There you go. I stay away from that one because the real life case is so just terrible, and I know it actually happened. I have to kind of have space between those. I can't read those too often, but I can get into like a Brian Bowyer book and be like, this is insane, crazy, but I love it. It's just so bonkers.
Yeah.
So it's a way to explore those things. It's like you said, it's like an adrenaline rush. It's a way to explore the human mind and what makes us all tick and what we're afraid of. And I think it's interesting how different people deal with different things and our fear and our those things that we don't talk about usually. It's a way to kind of peek behind the curtain a little bit.
Exactly. Well, and it's funny that you mentioned true crime because if you watched Juan's last most disturbing book thing where a bunch of us picked out our disturbing book and he had a little blurb, there was a huge amount of us that went with like more true crime stuff, which I thought was really telling because there was a bunch of us that read all these like terrible gory books, and then all of us are like, this true crime book and this terrible part of history. And so yeah, I think that that's a good parallel to draw, but it's safer, so to speak.
Yeah, I read Ketchum's Girl Next Door. Um, I don't know, last fall, I guess that was, and I guess that's probably the only one that I read like that. That was based. I think that's the only one. Many years ago, I read um, in Cold Blood. I think it was. Anyway, but I think that's the only one that I've read like that, and but I did really enjoy that book. I thought that even though I knew this, I obviously knew the story before I started it, but I read that book really quickly. I read that in a couple days, which for me, I always talk about I'm a phenomenally slow reader, and so for me to read a book in a couple days is unusual. But that one, yeah, I don't know. I still really liked it, even though I knew it was based on a true story. It was depressing, obviously, but
sometimes they can paint it in such a way where you can still see a beauty in it.
Yeah. I don't know. What about you, PL? Do you read much horror? Or?
Yeah, well, it's funny. It's Steve's influence getting to me because I hang out with him so much, and now I'm starting to really adopt a lot of his reading tastes. Like he's really rubbing off on me a lot, and I've been in law enforcement for a long time, and I went through a stage where I read a lot of police procedural type things, thrillers, murder mysteries, and then I really but fantasy was always my first love when I was much younger, and then when I finally decided I was going to write a fantasy book, I started picking up fantasy again. And then it's funny, I thought my book was not necessarily like grim dark. Wasn't even sure it was really dark fantasy, but then when I wrote it and people started reading, it's like, no, that's dark fantasy. That's kind of moral grim dark stuff. And then so I think that brought out in me more of a love for that particular subgenre. And then again, hanging out with people like Steve, I just started getting into more darker fantasy and darker and some horror. And I mean, I just read Empire of the Vampire, awesome book. That was an awesome book. I highly recommend that one. It's really good. And vampires have not gone out of style yet, that's for sure. Yeah. So and right now, my current read again. This Steve's influence. I'm reading The Darkness That Comes Before, and hopefully get to do a discussion on it at some point with Steve because again, I blame him and books with Zara. She was another great blogger that she got me onto that. But so now I find myself straying much more towards the darker stuff, and I'm enjoying it. Frankly, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying that I guess allowing myself to like Steve was saying, like it's not real, but I'm really into themes in books. Like a book for me needs to have some kind of a compelling theme to really make it memorable for me. I can read books that are just great, reads you just burn through, and and it's great and it's 5-star, and then you forget about it. But for me, it's those books that really stay in your psyche. That's what really moves me. So I think that's why.
I know exactly what you mean. Yes.
And
Juan
sorry. Juan heard someone. No, just really. Juan heard someone say Jack Ketchum, and he arrived. So
there he is, the man, the legend.
Yes, indeed. I'm sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Appeal. I'm the same way. Like I tend to. I don't know. Sometimes maybe it's like seems snooty almost, but I just really don't like books that are just a thrill ride. You know what I mean? I really want there to be some kind of symbolic or metaphorical aspect to the book, or some little deeper exploration. I just, I'm not that I'm hating on those kind of books. Plenty of people love them, and that's great. I mean, there's a book for everybody, and but they're just not really for me. I just want something more out of them. I just don't like those. I don't like those just quick thrill rides. I don't know. Sometimes I think sometimes I think I go a little overboard, like looking for subtext in every book that I read, but that's like part of the fun for me. I don't know if you guys are all like that, but
No, that's your background in philosophy coming out, Dave.
maybe facts, maybe.
I do it with my background in theology all the time. I'm like, did he mean that? Yeah, I do it all the time.
Yeah, I wanted to
Like,
ask you, by the way, because you've been talking a lot about the religious horror lately.
Yeah, well, I told you that I didn't choose the religious horror; it chooses me.
Have you seen that show Hellstrom?
Hellstrom?
On,
Was that with the brother and sister?
Yeah.
Yes, I have. That was
Okay.
amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys
the
seen that
sister
one?
has like the dark, like the short dark hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have seen that. That was awesome.
Yeah,
I love the opening when he's like talking junk to the kid. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys seen that one?
I haven't.
No, I haven't seen
Yeah,
that.
I'm
if you like
shocked I
religious
haven't
horror,
watched it.
That's a pretty good one. It's based on like Marvel characters, right? Isn't it based on I don't know if it's Marvel or DC. I think it's based on some actual comic characters.
I can believe that, like a dynamic duo of the brother and sister. I can believe that.
Those
Maybe
universes are so big. Yeah, those universes are so big. So many characters, you can't tell. What.
Oh yeah, huge. Yeah. That one between the retcons and everything else, it's like, wait a minute, I thought he died. Oh no, he didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. I had a couple questions. One for Paxton, one for Dave. So tell me 2 questions, Dave. Does Olive read more than you, and does she choose the books?
Yes and yes. Yeah, she likes to think she's in charge of everything. Yeah. See what she got me for Father's Day?
Oh my goodness.
I love that. Oh, I love that.
Property of Olive.
Yeah, she's in charge, right? Jeez. I think honestly, I think probably at least half the people that like watch our videos come to see her. Like, she gets more comments directed to her than me. But that's okay, it's clickbait, right?
Yeah. Yeah, she is gorgeous. And I guess for Pax, so now I'm fascinated about the whole religious horror, and I'm seeing, the background and the lighting and how you're dressed, and so is where does the religious horror fit in with you? How did you get into that?
I think it's because I have a master's in theology, and I spent a lot of years studying a lot of different cultures and a lot of different faith systems. And again, kind of going back to the whole mental thing, it fascinates me, the way different people look at the world. All of it, actually. I don't think one is even more fascinating than the other. I think they're all very, very unique and very intriguing. And I love how it adds layers to a person. If this person grew up with this particular culture or this particular belief, then they're going to see the world in this way versus someone who doesn't. And it adds that layer on top of layer. And I like to see how the human animal reacts when deep-seated beliefs are challenged. For example, you see that a lot in religious horror. I like to see how the human animal reacts when, they're put in like the constraints of, let's say, like a cult, see how that affects the mind. I love that. I was the kid that like put the VHS tape in when it was like 25 fun things about Christmas that you didn't know on the Discovery Channel. I was the one that taped it and was like, oh, wow. Yeah, that was me. I love that stuff. I love to see how it affects human history, all of it. I really do.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm the same way. Religion is a subject that it's so engrossing for me, and that drives a lot of why I write an exploration of different religions. Like you said, why people have faith, what happens when their faith is challenged, and
what connects us. Everybody believes that, even if you say you believe in nothing, everybody has some facet of belief. Everyone does, and everyone has an opinion on it. And if you shut up long enough, you can really learn something from somebody else's opinions, I think.
No,
Not that I ever shut up, but
no, I completely agree, and that's your educational background, and that totally makes sense. But no, that's really fascinating. So and Steve, who's read my book, knows that religion plays a prominent role
Mm-hmm.
in the whole thing. So yeah, for sure. No, that's fascinating. That's fascinating.
this does usually shut. Like, what? 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 Religion? That's okay.
And Dave, you said you always look for subtext and things, and I wondered about that recently. We talked about that with another author about how we from our culture we always try to find some kind of message in everything. We can't just watch a movie or read a book or listen to music and not look for something else. We just can't enjoy it for what it is. We have to always look for what does that mean, or what are they trying to say here. Is that something you've thought about, or something that you've ever considered?
You you mean in my reading, or you're talking about in my reading, not in writing?
Reading or writing or anything.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much in everything I read. I'm always trying to. I think I go into every book assuming that there's some subtext, there's some layer beneath the surface of the story, and I'm trying to I'm always trying to I tease that out. I think that's just my default of when I go into a book, and I'm just and I have to say I think it's I've read, we all have read a few crappy ones, right? But I have to say I think it's usually there. I think most writers, either that or I have just been lucky, but it seems like most of the things that I've read, there's some subtext to it, and I think all I guess maybe it's just the successful writers, and that's why we're reading their books, but all seem to like really pay attention to that and include that in their writing. I don't know.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I think it's exactly what Peel and I were talking about. You can't get away from it. It's part of the human animal.
Yeah.
Just to have this like concept of what you look at the world, like how you look at the world. So yeah, I think you're right. I think it is probably there. It is there, Dave. It's there.
So Pax and do both of you, Dave, you Pax, do you both write?
You want to take that, Dave?
That's out of the bag right now. We both do now.
We both do now.
Yeah, I don't know how. I mean, Pax will have to. I don't know about Pax's history. It was something that I always. You haven't done it. Like you didn't have interest in it before.
Interest and talent are two different things.
You never know till you start. You never know till you try.
I read your story. I mean, you have talent. So.
Well, this is a story.
What we're talking about is we so Regina St. Clair has done a couple of these anthologies. They're horror tube anthologies where she does a call for submissions, and so there've been two that have come out already. I don't know, you guys have probably seen them. Served Cold, and what was the other one?
I can't remember
Local
the
Harms.
other one. Oh, okay. Okay.
So anyway, so she just did the call for the third one. They just wrapped up, and so we both. I don't know who twisted Pax's arm, but
nobody. I was just like, cool. Let me try this. You know how I roll. I saw it. I was like, cool. I'll try this.
Yeah. Mr. Morningstar. I don't know if he's still on, but he knew it slipped out at some point that I was working on something. I don't really usually talk about the writing side of things.
Everybody tells Morningstar everything.
What was that?
We all tell Morningstar everything. You ever want to know?
It is. It's like Morningstar's got like the little inside.
He does. He does.
Anyway, he knew that I had kind of always wanted to write, and so he kind of twisted my arm when Regina did this call for submission. So So yeah, so Pax and I both submitted stories, and they'll be in the she just wrapped that up, so that's it's moving on to the next step. That's
September, I think.
September, or
I think is when it comes out in September.
That's amazing. Congratulations. You are writers. You're both writers.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Phenomenal.
I guess so.
And y'all just wait. Y'all just wait. Dave's is gonna knock some socks off. Y'all just wait.
Yeah, you'll really like Pax's too. It's very, very, very original. I really, I don't want to say, I don't want to.
Yeah, I don't want to say too much, but Dave's is insane.
But
Well,
definitely subtext. Definitely subtext in mine.
There is, but oh my gosh, there's just so much. I was reading it like, yeah, it was so good, so good.
Okay, so it's coming out September. Is that?
I think so. I think.
Okay, I'm all over that.
I know she wanted to get it out before Halloween, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So.
And also, Morningstar's in it too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mr. Morningstar will be in it too. So the Son of the Devil has a story coming out.
Yeah, Morningstars is pretty wild too.
Oh, it's awesome! It's so cool. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll definitely be picking that up. Okay.
Well, we're learning lots of secrets here today. Yeah.
So if I may ask, you're obviously both writers. So is there, and that's phenomenal being part of an anthology. So, and you may be able to spill the beans. So I don't want to give away any trade secrets, but are we going to see even bigger writing projects from you down the road? Like, you don't have to give away any details or anything, but can we anticipate?
I would totally give you details if there were any, but no, nothing right now.
I think I'm going to keep. I'm really glad, actually. I told him thanks, but I don't think Morningstar probably realized like how much I appreciate the fact that he pushed me to do this, because I think it's kind of, actually getting it done and submitting it and it coming out in the book is kind of just took me to like a different. It kind of just took me to a different level. I was kind of like, okay, I'm actually,
You're a writer.
even though it was a small project, I actually got committed and completed it. And so now I'm like, I think it was the kick that I really needed to get back to, I had a couple unfinished projects. I had another one that was intended to be a short story and then turned into what's going to be a novella. It became too long. So I'll finish it. I'm definitely going to finish that now and we'll see where it goes. But yeah, it was a good experience. I'm glad he made me do it because
That's fantastic. Oh, release date, Albert.
Yeah. Oh, let me look and see if I can find. What's the title of it? Oh, I can look it up.
It's called Lurking in the Dark.
Yeah, Lurking in the Dark. I want to say it's September, but I'm not sure on the date, honestly.
Okay, we're definitely gonna be picking that up at some point. Congratulations, that's awesome, both of you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I can't wait to read it. So I know, Steve says no, but I don't know. I think one day Steve's gonna just suddenly come out with something like, whoa, Steve wrote a novel or Steve did this. And I think so many of the creatives I've encountered, especially booktubers, YouTubers, they all, I think, have sort of the talent and the ability, but I think a lot of them actually have the desire to really write. I think after you keep reading and reviewing and reading all these books and your love for the whole craft, I think eventually it usually manifests into, I'd like to put something down on paper, even if you never formally publish it, but I think there's a lot of especially booktubers out there that I think writing is a secret passion that they're harboring, and they're just kind of like, okay, they're just waiting to get up the courage. And that's for anybody, not just booktubers. I mean, I didn't publish till I was in my 50s. So, if that's any inspiration, hopefully for anybody, that, it's never too late, right? So,
Right.
But that's fantastic. Congratulations, both of you. That's amazing.
Oh, thank you.
So is it A Drowned Kingdom your first thing? Did you ever publish any short work or anything before that, or no?
Oh,
First,
wow.
I mean,
Both
I've written,
feet.
I've written for things like, community newspapers and, articles in volunteer magazines and things like that. But no, I just went full. When you get to a certain age, I say this my 50s, you're like, okay, well, how much time if you live 50 years, like how more years? That's still like not a lot of time to
Right.
get a few books out. So, I figured, okay, well, have a plan, execute it, and now it's a 7-book series followed potentially, hopefully, followed by 2 prequel trilogies and then another 7-book series. That's what I have planned.
That is quite a plan.
Wow, that is.
So,
That's
Yeah,
do you have a schedule you're trying to stick to, a specific schedule?
yeah, 1 book a year for
One book a year.
the next 20. Well, it's less than 20 years now, but for yeah, the next 20
that's
years.
fantastic.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, so far so good. I mean, it's really early. I'm on schedule right now, but it's in very much the early stages. So, I published my first book in 2021, published my second book in 2022. The next one's on track for 2023. Just take it 1 year at a time and see where we wind up.
So, like, what can I ask? Because I know so little about this. So, what is what's a process for you, like time wise? Like, how long do you spend on that first draft, and then how long do you spend like editing, and how long is the actual, making the book itself? And
Well, and it differs. It varies, obviously, depending on how you're publishing. Most of my friends are completely self-published. I'm self-published with a self-publishing assist company. But for me personally, I have a rule that I do 3 drafts. I draft the novel, and then I revise it, and I usually take some time to leave it, and then I revise it again. And then I usually have my lovely wife, the boss, take a final look and go, I need to fix that, change that, and then I do that. So really, it's 4, but really it's 3 drafts, and then kind of our own internal edit, and then I send it off for formal editing with an editor, and we're usually 3 rounds of that, right?
Okay.
So one is a bit of a developmental edit for okay, well, this might be a pothole, or this might not work, or this, and then the other subsequent edits are things like grammar, spelling, punctuation, continuity, all those things, and then it's done, and then you start. In the meantime, you've picked a cover. I mean, I have all my covers planned out, so that's kind of an advantage. That I have the titles planned out, so I don't spend time on that. I have the blurbs written for every book, so and this is unusual. I want to say that, and I'm not saying I'm special. I'm I'm just saying that that's me. I'm probably a planner to the extreme.
No, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. My type A is just like right now. Awesome. That's so cool.
So, but yeah, so that's so then, and then of course, cover design. You have things like choosing pricing of the book, and are you going to produce a hardcover or an ebook, the software, like all the minutia of actually putting the book in print, and then dealing with Amazon, and then getting it. So that process usually takes about 5 to 6 months. So pretty well, I can produce a book a year. So that's what it's turned out to be so far, and God willing, it continues that way. So.
That seems pretty quick. So that initial 3.5 rounds, 3.5 drafts that you do, like how long does that process take you?
Well, that takes me about 5 to 6 months, give or take. The difference is, though, I have the bones, like the bones of the whole 7-book series pretty well written out.
Okay.
Right. So that gives you a bit of an advantage. I'm kind of ahead of the game there. So you have this thing that's totally, rough and, very, very rough and not a polished product. And then you take that and you hammer it out, and you start with your drafts, and then, eventually it turns into something palatable. So, yeah, that's how I do it. So.
Yeah. Okay.
And the audiobook, and also advertising, or boosting spreading the word about it, that's a whole nother, seems like a whole nother job in itself.
Oh, that definitely is. And my lovely wife Debbie is my business partner, and she's brilliant, far smarter than I am, and she has a background in marketing, and so we partnered where this is an entrepreneurial endeavor. It's just like we treat it like running a startup business. And she handles a lot of the marketing stuff, and so I can concentrate more on writing. I'm obviously involved in the marketing too, and but we started early. Like we were on social media, a good 6 months prior to publication. getting the word out about the book. You're sending it out to bloggers. Hopefully, they want to review the book. You're advertising, trying to do articles and get interviews from newspapers and doing all this stuff to try and promote your book. And then, of course, making connections and helping people also to help promote your book. So it's a huge endeavor, and that's the side that I think a lot of authors can get caught up in. Again, I'm very blessed. I have that extra person to help take the load off a lot of that stuff. But when you're doing it on your own, it can be overwhelming. But I think there is a balance because unfortunately, some of the best written books don't sell because nobody knows about them. So you do have to really invest a lot of time and energy and effort into marketing to sell your book, and that's a process. And things like image, swag, these, the stuff. This is all part of me being an author, and that's something that again, you can't neglect if you want to, sell books. So
Right.
Yeah.
It's like the
Yeah.
SEO of writing.
Yeah.
Like you got to get that SEO stuff out.
Yeah,
Mr.
Stephen Pax.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, Mr. Morrister had a question. Did PL jump into full novels? Or did you write short stories first? I think you just jumped into novels, right, PL?
Yeah, Mr. Morningstar, feed in. You head in first, just dove right in because again, I'm publishing in my 50s, so I figured, okay, if I live to be 90, hopefully I have my faculties up into my 70s, 80s, I can still write, right? But I have 20 books planned at a minimum, so had to get cracking. So yeah, I didn't have time to muck around, and I went straight out there and I wrote a novel. I wrote a 400-ish page novel, and yeah, it's and then I wrote another one that was even a bit longer. So and now I'm working at the third, which is around the same length as the second. So when I have in that series, after I write this third one and publish it, I have 4 more in that series planned. So yeah,
It's dedication.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I was going to say Steve and Pax are both. Steve and Pax are both really good about reviewing a lot of independent stuff. I read some, but I'm like I said, I'm so slow that I like carefully pick and choose everything. But I really got to do more independent stuff. But those two are great about it. They bring a lot of exposure to independent writers. So
I've just been lucky. I get lots of nice people like, hey, it's like Christmas. Hey, you want to read this book? Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
that's also because the person you are, Pax, they know how supportive you are and how encouraging and you're willing to do that. So, and Steve the same, like, and I guess all I can say, Dave, is that I until the last, just prior to becoming an indie author myself, I read predominantly traditionally published books because I didn't know how else to get any other kind of book.
Right.
And then when I started getting involved in the whole indie world, and I realized what was out there, now my TBR is probably it's 60% indie and 40% traditionally published books because I found that the kind of stories that I write, the kind of stories that I love to read, I found I could get, in terms of quantity, I could get even more of them in the indie market because, these are books that traditional publishers, and no disrespect to them, they felt wouldn't be commercially viable, and but they're great. But I'm sorry, but a lot of these books are extremely commercially viable and sell really well. So and outsell a lot of traditionally published books. So, and I've had the fortune of meeting in my short time in the whole greater writing community a lot of great traditionally published authors, but tons of amazing indie authors, and the books are just. And when it comes to horror, I mean, wow! And Pax can attest, like some fantastic indie horror writers and dark fantasy. Like you're talking, like I've never seen anything like it. I didn't know it was out there until So, and I'm still learning a lot about the indie, market. So.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. I've said it before that I have read books off of a shelf that don't hold candles to some of the ones that small authors send me. So.
Oh, Mr. Morningstar, you're too kind. Look at this grade, bro. Look at this grade, man. I'm 53 years old, man. I'm a grandpa. I'm a grandfather. I'm an old dude. So, but I'm just happy to be above ground. So, it's all good. It's all good. Thank you, though, for the compliment.
Yeah, there is a huge like there's so many great self-published horror writers right now. There's so many. I mean, Laura Hightower, Catherine McCarthy's, the H.B. Diaz, the I can just go on and on. The Daniel Barnett's, the Brian Bowyer's. I mean, I'm going to forget somebody, but I mean, there's so many great authors right now, and so much great stuff happening that it's hard to keep up. Just too much.
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, Laurel Hightower and Brian are the two that's probably one of the more recent reads of mine. Dave actually, well, Olive sent me my first Laurel Hightower book. So because I am a fan of the Mothman, so it was a crime it took me that long to read that because it was fantastic. It was amazing.
I have to, and you forgive me, I have to shout out two of our former Patreon guests, amazing, I've read one of their books, one of the author's books, and I'm going to read the other one soon coming up, B.A. Bellick and T.C. Schuler. B.A. Bellick, Pulse, it's a wild ride. It has won tons of awards, indie horror, sci-fi / horror, and then 22 Dutch Road by T.C. Schuler. Again, horror, more contemporary horror, they're all both award-winning, and they're great people. We had them on Page Chewing. If you get the opportunity, check out that episode on Steve's channel. Great. They're really dynamic gents, and they write good stuff. So if you like that, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So highly recommended. Yeah.
I do have a question from Brandy, who's in the other room. There are some amazing indie horror authors out there. Pax, who are your favorites?
And right now you can almost hear the wind rushing out of my brain as I forget every name. Really, Brian sticks out to me. Brian and I, unbeknownst to either one of us, we grew up about 45 minutes away from each other. So we've been in each other's hometowns like 1,000 times. So yeah, Brian's great. Laurel Hightower's great. Let's see, who else have I read? Oh, Kay Schultz. Kay Schultz is one that I just discovered. She has a poetry book, but also a collection of short stories. Very, very, very unique voice. Incredibly unique voice. Let's see, who else? S.C. Martins. I love her stuff. I have her poetry book. Absolutely amazing. Let's see. Oh my gosh. I'll just forget everyone. I'm just going to forget all of the people. And my other bookshelf's over there. So, yeah. But there's so many. Honestly. Honestly, Brandy, if you were like, hey, have you read this book? I'd be like, oh, yeah, that one. Yeah.
It's hard to
I do the
remember.
same thing with music.
Yeah.
Crossroads.
Pax, have you read
No, I have
Crossroads?
not. No, I have not. The only Hightower book I've read was the one Olive sent me.
Below?
Yeah, Below with I would say the Mothman book because I'm a visual learner and I just see the Mothman on the front. So yeah, that's the only one. Although I've heard wonderful things. Crossroads is one that I want to read, and Vanilla is another one that I want to read that are really high up on my mental list.
Yeah. Crossroads was phenomenal. I thought it was to me that was one of my favorite books of that year.
I've heard it's amazing.
It was, Laurel Hightower is. See, I don't know what qualifies as. See, I do pick up some of the small press stuff. I don't know what is technically an indie or
I think the lines are really blurred.
Laurel is one of my favorites. I thought both Crossroads, and she has a third. So Crossroads and
I got you. I told you.
The eternal spoiler, Pat. Crossroads and Below were both excellent. They were both good. Crossroads, I just thought was phenomenal.
Absolutely.
But she has a third book that I have and I haven't read yet, but which I understand is pretty different. Whispers in the Dark.
Whispers in the Dark,
yeah.
I'll tell you, there's a religious horror book, and I'm gonna butcher his last name. His first name's Dylan. I think it's Kalan. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Kalan. And I've read his prequel. The video I put out today, I talked about his prequel. You want to talk about a really unique look at religious horror? He's got one. He's a super nice guy too. I've talked to him. So he's another one that I've really enjoyed.
My TBR is going to be growing here.
I don't even have a TBR. It's just like, oh, cool. Score. Yeah.
Yeah, Vanilla, I really like her. I don't know if you guys if anybody has read Mona Kabani. She's true independent. You know, she's one of those ones where she just opted to go independent and has built her own brand, just like PL. There has got all the merch and so you know, and she's put out a couple things. She put out the Bell Chime, Vanilla, and she's now just coming out with a third one. I forget what it's called, but I really, you know, I found out about her just from Instagram, you know, from her Instagram account, and but I really like her, you know, and she's you know, she's into she really writes that real psychological horror, you know, so it's yes, it's really.
Your video on Vanilla was amazing, by the way, Dave.
You mean Olive's video?
Your Olive's video on Vanilla. If you guys haven't watched that, seriously, like, even if you have no like desire to read it, just go watch the video. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and you know, I say this before, I said it again. All three of you, by virtue of what you do with BookTube, it's like publishing a book. You put yourself out there, and like being an indie, essentially, you put yourself out there on YouTube, you create your content, you put it out for the world to read and watch and like and listen to, and it's the same thing. And you know, kudos to you for doing it. I think it takes additional courage and fortitude to do it visually live, because you know, I can hide behind my cover, right? You know what I mean? Like, you know, but when you're on YouTube, you can't do that. So your face is there, your presence, your personality, it's everything about you. So credit to all three of you for building the audiences that you have, and you know, and for taking that leap of faith and that courage to do that. So hats off to you.
Oh well, see, I think writing is incredibly vulnerable. So I think headset off to you, because I think it's you want to talk about putting everything on display, right? Writing makes you do that in so many ways. You know, for me, I'm just like, click, hey. So yeah, so I respect writers a whole lot, because they really bear it all when they put that out there into the world.
Yeah. Yeah, but and I'm not saying this just because he invited us on here today. There's certain booktubers like Steve that is just I really admire you, Steve. I really do admire your channel, because the only other one that I've noticed out there that does as much as you do for authors was Nikki, and she's kind of gone inactive, you know, of late. But I mean, we talked about this a little bit before we got on, like finding the time. I don't know how you like find the time in your life to actually do all of these talks and videos for all of these authors, and I just think it's a wonderful thing that you deserve, that you devote so much time to giving all these people exposure. And you know, and I feel bad, you know, everybody gets a bad comment or a bad experience here and there, and you're no exception. And I feel like awful for you, like when that has happened, because you, more than anybody else that I've seen out there, devote so much, you know, to giving everybody else time.
You do.
But yeah, it's just you have a pretty unique channel, I think.
Well, thank you, Dave. That's very nice of you to say.
And you have a great voice to listen to too.
Well,
you do.
Winning the Paxi was the highlight of
It's
Yes,
almost
Steve.
time for round 2 of that hard
Yeah.
review.
You've never done radio, have you?
No, but whoever's on the list with me, I'm gonna have to knock them out before. So I'll have to, you know, I'll be having to pay a few people a visit to keep that crown.
Oh, don't worry.
Yeah, I can't say enough about Steve, the kind of person he is. First of all, the character, the high, you know, kind of moral character he has, and just such a giving person, so generous with his time, and does so much to promote everyone, fellow booktubers, authors, everyone in the community. And yeah, the content. I mean, his content, it blows me away. from deep dive discussions to Friday conversation to what he does, what we do together with Page Chewing, to his other author interviews, to you name it, he does it, right? Recaps of the week, and and always checking to see how people are doing and take care of others, and just really really unselfish, and just a wonderful soul, man. So just
Totally.
just a really really great guy, stand up dude. So proud
Wow.
to know you. So
You guys are impressing me. What to say? Haley Piper is another indie author I absolutely love. Be sure to add her to your lists.
Oh, cool. Thank you, Crystal.
Yeah, I definitely fake it until I make it. I'm not sure if I've made it there yet, but yeah.
well, 1,000 subscribers isn't a lie, bro. So it's it's not all about numbers, obviously, but it's a testament to how popular your channel is becoming, right? So you don't grow unless people are interested in what you have to say. So
Which still blows me away. Like
Albert's comment is really good there, Steve. You should think about doing audiobooks.
That's not the first time I've heard someone say that, too.
Yeah,
That's not the first time.
I've read a couple of short stories on the podcast. It's a lot harder than it looks to do it. It took me to read like a page long short story. It took me like 2 hours to do it. It was ridiculous because I kept messing up. And I think you just think, well, I'm just going to read the story, and then you try to embellish a little bit and try to make it entertaining, and then you end up stumbling over your words, and it's so ton of respect to people who do audiobooks because it is not easy to do. Really
You
tough.
have a very soothing cadence to your voice.
Yeah.
I think that's why people say that to you.
Yeah, you have just the voice for that stuff.
Yeah, not everyone's a fan, but yeah, thank you.
Hey, if they can listen to my twang, then they shouldn't. You shouldn't get any kind of bad complaints if they can listen to my twang.
And Voices from the Mausoleum, I double and triple agree with Steve doing audiobooks. And Angel from Voices from Mausoleum actually encouraged me to do short stories. So that's one of the reasons I started doing it. It's just, it takes me forever to read short stories.
Oh, yeah.
That's another great Angel stuff. Is I just started watching some of her stuff today. Really,
That's
really
a cool
good
name.
stuff.
Voices
Good content. Good content there too. So.
The Indie Guru. And Juan's channel is just amazing, and David and Pax are both, I know they're both fans too, but what Juan does over there is just, you watch his stuff and it's like, I'm not going to bother anymore because I can't be that good. It's just so good.
The only word that pops in my mind when I think of Juan speaking is eloquent. I've never in my life heard someone be so eloquent, and the stuff that he talks about, and you're still like, every time, every time, doesn't matter. You're still like just engrossed because he's just such an eloquent speaker.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the most, if not the most cerebral channel that I've watched. Obviously it's thousands of booktubers I haven't seen, but I would say it's probably the most cerebral one that I've watched. You talk about, we were talking before about just looking for meaning and subtext and stuff like that. I mean, the way Juan deconstructs a book, any book, is pretty impressive.
Okay. I have to
seen
watch
his
it.
channel, PL, but
no, I have to, and I'm just amazed by booktubers like that. Watching, listening to AP Canavan, I mean, I felt like I want to take my degree and just chuck in the garbage because that man is on another level, right? He's an academic, obviously, and but his insights into anything and everything. I mean, Steve knows him better than I do, and he's had him on to, like, he is just, his brain is power is just astounding, right? Philip Chase is another one. Jimmy Nuts. Jimmy Nuts is a brilliantly insightful fellow, right? He plays it off all casual, but Jimmy Nuts is really smart, really smart, really analytical when it comes his approach to how he breaks books down, and it's just and my man Steve here is gonna go no. But you watch some of his videos, specifically, you watch the What is Grimdark video.
That one was amazing.
That was awesome. And watch the one he did about monetization. The guy, he's Steve, like I said, he's too modest to admit how smart he is and how insightful he is. But
No, that one
No.
on Grimdark, that was like a college course. That was great. That was fantastic.
It's so fun
Yeah,
because
Philip-
nobody can agree on it.
I thought
I'm
of
sorry,
you
Dave.
in whatever the last video before yesterday's video was, because I said something about Grimdark, and I actually said in the video, I was like, look, when I talk about genres, this is what I think they are. I have no idea what the definition is. So I was like, Grimdark is like magic and blood. Grimdark.
have you two, Pax and Dave, have you read a lot of grimdark stuff? Have you read
Like dark
fantasy,
fantasy.
grimdark? Have you read?
The last one that I would call is The Death Walks with Me by Nat Winston, the one that I reviewed. Nat is a sweetheart. Oh my gosh, she's a sweetheart. And I think she's real active on Instagram and I think TikTok too. But her book, it's about the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, but it's very like underworlds and journeys and like spells, and it's great. So I would call that like I guess a dark fantasy kind of grimdarky. So that's probably the last one I read.
Yeah, I don't think I've read some short grimdark fiction in Grimdark magazine and Nightmare magazine. I've read some stories in those, but I don't think that I've like Pax. I'm not sure I know exactly what the definition is, but I don't think I've read any novels that would qualify as grimdark yet.
I have to say this since Albert's in the chat, if he's still here. He commented under, I guess it was that video where I mentioned grimdark, and he was like, I thought that was a wrestler. I've been laughing at that for like a day. Oh my god. It's so funny. I was like, now I can't not see it.
Oh, that's great.
That's awesome.
I was like, now I can't not think of that.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had some fantastic Steve has had some outside of page chewing, obviously, but we've had some phenomenal grimdark authors on page chewing. We recently had Michael R. Fresher and Spark, and they're like, they're near the top of that grimdark scale when it comes to how dark fantasy is. And yeah, I recommend Dave, you and Pax check out that those interviews, because they're phenomenal. And yeah.
I always say I'm too big of a nerd not to like stuff like fantasy. I wish that high school me would have gotten into like D&D. Like, I don't look like I should have played D&D in high school. I didn't, but I look like I should have.
You do look like you should have.
Never too late, man. Never too late. Lots of our friends play it.
It looks cool. It looks cool. Yeah.
Never too late.
What would you guys say are the best, like the top couple grimdark books you've read?
PL, you want to take this one?
Well, you need to answer too, Steve, because you're a grimdark expert. I Beyond Redemption by Michael R. Fletcher is.
Look at him getting a pen.
Oh, Michael R.
Beyond
Fletcher,
Redemption.
Beyond Redemption by Michael R. Fletcher. So Mark Lawrence, who himself is a pretty famous, traditionally published grimdark author, did a poll on his website, and Michael R. Fletcher's Beyond Redemption was basically graded out by fanboy as the darkest of the dark of the grimdark.
No, that's enough to entice me.
Yeah, it was dark. I would say that another book that Grimdark, I believe, manifests in many forms. I think Steve has read this one as well. This is just a book I really think is just beautifully written and fantastic. Sarah Chorn's, Seraphina's Lament. Oh, yeah.
I know the cover. That cover's gorgeous.
Yeah, I would, and get the tissue box up for that one, because it's.
What was the name of it? I missed it.
Seraphina's Lament.
Oh, okay.
It is extremely well written. The prose is phenomenal, and the theme, like, it is just a great book. That's another book that you definitely. Holly Tinsley, We Men of Ash and Shadow, and her current one The Hand That Cast the Bone. Steve's read as well. She's a phenomenal writer. She's amazing. Grimdark. She's it's hers is classified as gaslit grimdark because of the period that she writes about it. Another one along that vein is The Legacy of the Bright Wash by Crystal Matar. Just like, yeah, another great book that's got some really disturbing things, but also a lot of hope. And yeah, that's another great grimdark book. There's so many. I could go on and on. If you would DM me anytime, or Steve, like we read a lot of this stuff. I don't know how to qualify. I don't know how to qualify Malazan. It's
That's difficult. Yeah,
it's hard,
that's
Steve.
a hard
Like
one.
I don't
Yeah.
know how.
It's hard to recommend that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my current book that I'm reading, Dark is Coming For, so far, this is freaking dark. This is it's beautiful. It's very philosophical. It's very deep. So for PAX, if you're looking like but it's very dark. I think Brandy putting up, that's one of Steve's, or Richard now. That's very popular group dark.
That title, The Darkness That Comes Before, that sounds familiar. Do they allude to what that was taken from yet? Or have you gotten that far?
No.
Okay.
I am how far I am. I'm just about 50 pages in. So
Okay. I don't know why that phrase just sounds familiar, like I've heard it somewhere.
I did a review on it a couple months ago. It might be.
That might be it.
Yeah.
That could probably be it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's Gunmetal God. How could we forget Zamil Akhtar? His whole read everything by Zamil Akhtar. Full stop. Just
Wow.
read everything. He's got 4 books out right now. Gunmetal Gods, Conqueror's Blood, Death Rider, and Light Blade. And he is knock your socks off. It's lush. It's Middle Eastern inspired, which is really cool because a lot of the typical traditional fantasy is more European medieval, but it is just.
Does it have to do with gin by any chance?
There's some gin in there, maybe.
Cool.
But it is. Steve, watch Steve's channel as well Steve, myself, Taylor from Maybe to Pages, another great blogger, and Lana from Lullabies, another phenomenal blogger. We've had the pleasure and honor to sit down with Zamil Akhtar and do some deep dives into his books. So watch those on TV, and he is his books are just wow, really.
And Death Rider is a novella. It's like 100 pages long, so it'd be a good if you just want to dip your toes into it.
Yeah.
Death Rider, and that's a good. I think that's a perfect mix of horror and fantasy. There's a lot in that 100 pages.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
And I have to recommend again Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. It is.
You had me at vampire appeal.
Yeah, it is. Oh, Pax, it is dark, bloody, gothic, beautiful, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It is just like, it is. You'd like it. It's
Cool.
good. It's good.
I'd love to see the different incarnations of the vampire. I think people do a lot with it, more so than a lot of other monsters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but this is kind of like a cross between The Witcher, Empire of the Vampire, and Name of the Wind. It's beautiful. Yeah, put on your TBR. I know you say you don't have a TBR, but it's something to keep in.
I keep it in the head, honestly, because I'll just be like, oh, that's right, PL said that. I'll read that.
And the comment, some people talk about cover buys. Anyone else a title buy reader? Seraphina's Lament is doing that to me.
Y'all want to talk about a sweet soul? Nymeria is a sweet soul. Y'all should check her out.
Yeah. I'm going to there right now. What about you, Pax and Dave? Are you title buy reader or title buy? Or when you see a title, does it make you want to buy it?
Yeah. Usually because it's so crazy. That's what I'll be like, excuse me? Yeah. I have a few coming for the event in August, Garb August, that Criminali's doing. I have a few coming for that complete title. Like I just was like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. It depends, I guess. I picked up The Gray Bastards a little while back. That was probably a title buy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm reading that next month actually. Sorry, this month I'm reading that. Then later this month I'm reading The Great Bastard. So, and Steve's had Jonathan French on his channel for an interview. So, yeah, there's someone who made it from self-published fantasy. He won the self-published fantasy blog off one year, and then soon after he obtained a traditional publishing contract, and now is traditionally published and is doing very well there, and won the Kirkus Star, and yeah, so
Okay.
there's a lot more of those than people realize, especially if you're not really immersed in the self-published side, especially with fantasy. There's a lot of people who make the transition. There's some who have no desire and they're doing quite well without it, but there's some that have always aspired for that, and they're using self-publishing as a vehicle to get there, and a lot of them more and more are making it. So that's sorry.
What about you? Do you want to stay self or?
I for now, I don't even would touch stuff that I write. No, commercial publishers touch my stuff with a 10-foot pole. It's pretty. I deal with a lot of very controversial themes like sexism, racism, misogyny, homophobia, religious intolerance, and a lot of that stuff isn't something that a traditional publisher is gonna
I'll be too scared of it.
they can peddle that stuff. I'm lucky that I have a long way to go. I have some some self-published friends that are I'm nowhere in their class that are blowing the water. Daniel T. Jackson, we're gonna have him on Page Chewing next month. Fantastic, he's really blowing up. Ryan Cahill, we're going to be having him on Page Chewing as well. This man sold something like 40,000 books in the last 2 years or something like that, or more than that. Like he's just really selling well. Zamil Akhtar, another one that his sales are just and these folks are all getting on a lot of the big you see a lot of the really popular fantasy and sci-fi bloggers like the Leo Petricks, etc. They're pumping their books, and so there's a lot of people who I don't think they're too concerned about getting a traditional publishing contract because they're doing so well as being self-published, right? So I'm sure in horror there's the same thing. There's plenty of authors that they're making a killing and doing well. They have their audience. They have no.
If it's not broke, don't fix it. Yeah.
Yeah, you have the creative control. You pretty well, for the most part, write what you want, and it's a different model. The traditional publishing is a great model too. It's just what works for you. Like I'm quite happy where I am right now, and I'm slowly building my audience, and the people that like my book seem to like it, and that's what makes me happy, right? I didn't get into it to make $1 million. It'd be nice, but I made it to write something I really want to write and have people hopefully enjoy my book. So
right.
Yeah. But sorry, I interrupted the title stuff. The title question.
No, it's okay.
No, Crystal's right. Eric LaRocca does have a lot of good,
true.
Catchy titles.
He likes the long titles. And Dave, you were, I forget it, you were on the positive side or the negative side on things have
gotten worse.
Yeah, things have gotten worse.
Be careful. I don't know if Juan is still here. He's going to get upset. I was on the positive side. I did. We're doing the show. You really want to get down? Okay. Sorry, she's getting restless. I was on the positive side of that. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was terribly complex, but I thought it was good, and there was some good metaphor in there. But I just read one of his new books that I don't know if anybody else has read this one.
You've lost a lot of blood. Is that the?
You've lost a lot of blood. Yeah. How could I forget that? This is a perfect title, right? That one was in that I ended up doing a video on that. I was reading a couple short horror things, and I was gonna do like a short horror wrap up video, and I finished that book, and I realized I couldn't do that, and I had to do a video just on that book, because that book was like a whole nother level beyond.
I love it when that happens.
Things have gotten worse. It was the way I described it, you talk about like layering. The way I described that one was that was like an Escher painting in book form. There was just so many layers of so many different kinds, and I thought that book was like incredible. Like I have to read it again. I just need to give myself a little time, and then I'll read it again. But that was so unique, and I thought it was phenomenal. But I would highly recommend picking that one up if you haven't already. But he just came out with another one, because he's doing like both routes. So he published that one. He did like Brandon Sanderson, and it was like a surprise independent publication with that. And in the meantime, he just like a week ago, he just came out with another one by
Wow.
Trepidatio Publishing or something like that. That's We Can Never Leave This Place. So anyway, yeah, I like him. I think that guy can write well. So I haven't read all this stuff, but I like him. You were on what side? You were on the not so great side, right?
I was on the not so great side. Yeah, it just wasn't. It didn't land for me. I thought, yeah, I just think the prose I really appreciate. I think he's a great writer. I just think the presentation just wasn't for me. And then the end I thought was funny. I laughed because it was just, I don't know. Maybe it was over my head, but I think it's so interesting the way everyone's reaction to that book, whether you love it or you hate it or you're in the middle. It's just so interesting to hear everyone's thoughts on that one. Pax, did you read that one?
I did not, but I watched so many videos. I feel like I have.
Yeah.
That one and the Black and Teeth book. Yeah, I feel like I watched a lot of videos about that one too.
Yeah, you don't.
I love watching everybody's opinions. I think that's amazing. It's my favorite part. Yeah. Second to the book, actually.
It's weird how that created so much controversy. Like I mean, I don't know. It was, meanwhile there was there's a book. Did you guys read that book, Dead Inside? Who read that? By Chandler Morrison?
I've heard of it. I haven't read it though. It's something I want to read.
I've seen some really upset reviews on that one though.
Yeah, that was like the craziest of the extreme. Like I tell you, like, to go into that book, like picture like the couple like just most extreme things that you could think of. You wouldn't think of these. You'll be surprised still, like when you read the book. You know what I mean? And it seemed to be kind of pointless. I don't think there was any subtext in that book. But there seemed to be less talk about that book than there was about Things Have Gotten Worse. For some reason, there was so much controversy about Things Have Gotten Worse since we last spoke, and I'm not really sure why.
Maybe when they have those books that don't really have a whole lot of substance, there's just like not a lot to talk about, so people just kind of like
Or it could be because of the times. We're living in some pretty interesting times, and maybe people were upset about the fact that maybe it was like a direct commentary on things are getting worse, and some people want to avoid, like some people read for escapism, right? And even the title itself was like, oh well, I'm reading this just to get away from the world, and now you have this title about things getting worse, and I don't want to hear that. Like maybe that could have been part of it potentially. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Well, I mean, I bought that book, or Things Have Gotten Worse, just because of all the different opinions. I wanted to read it. So, and then I sent my copy to Alex, the Bookie Bus, because she was wanting to read it. So I said, I'll send you my copy. I'm not going to read it again. So
that's another thing I love about this. Yeah. There's like books crisscrossing the world. I love it.
Yeah. Well, that one. So the Things Have Gotten Worse since we last spoke. You can't get that version anymore. They're coming out with a new version now. Mm-hmm. That one's sold out. And there's a new one that has a couple extra stories in it that comes out like in September, I think. But that original version is still going around. Like a bunch of us, it started with one who hated the book, and he sent it to me, and then I passed it on, and every booktuber signed it, and I think we dated it.
I saw that on David Wiley, I think, mentioned.
Yeah. Well, it's gone to numerous booktubers after him. It's it's still going around.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool. That's kind of cool.
Somebody's got to take a picture of that front page at this point to see how many are on it.
I love that idea. Yeah. Regina mentioned something about, like, if you guys watched her library tour today, she has this space, and she was like, yeah, I thought about doing like a horror tube convention, and I was like, oh, yes, please God. Like I can't think of something that I would love more than to have everyone in a room.
You'd fly to Australia for that, wouldn't you?
I probably would. I probably would. If I could make it happen, I would.
Wow.
But she
Yeah,
mentioned
that
that
would be
because I was like cleaning or something, and she was like, "Yeah, hard time." I was like, "What?"
If anyone can organize that, PAX would be you, because you're
Oh, I
really
don't
great
know
at all the
about that.
community stuff.
Yeah, I
Just
don't know
saying.
about that. Yeah, I don't know about because I mean I don't even make TBRs, Steve. I'd be like, "Hey, we're all getting together at the Chili's."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get a big table. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a table for 300? No. Why? Yeah.
Do you know who we are? Yeah. Albert had a question. Are there any conventions for indie writers?
Well, it's funny. Like all the conventions I've seen are online so far for indie specifically. There's lots of conventions for traditionally published writers, or there were. I mean, I'm talking pre-COVID. There's all kinds of conventions in name your genre, whether it's a horror convention, a sci-fi, a fantasy, a mystery, like all over the world. But specifically for indie writers, I mean, indie writers tend to, I think, in the past, attend the ones that are normally for traditionally published writers. But I don't know, and there's a lot I don't know, so there very well may be one specifically for indie writers. I just don't know about it, so that's something we can probably pose to some of our other indie friends who are much more knowledgeable on that stuff than I do. So I've done some online conventions. I would love to do a physical convention one day, but we'll see what.
I mean, have you all thought of that? Like, what it would be like if everybody was in a room? Like, it would just be so much fun. So much fun. Like Olive running up and down the aisle. Like, oh my gosh! Like, this is so great.
That is my dream to meet so many of my friends that I've met virtually only and that have become so close, like such close friends that to get us all like together, yeah, that would be just oh man, that would be.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I would probably just explode. Like I just see everybody walking in the door like.
Yeah, that's what's so weird about this. We talked about this, I think, a little bit before we went live, but this is so weird because, I've made like a lot of what I consider like real, honest, good friends on BookTube. And the fact we're like with PAX, like we're even like mailing stuff to each other and things, and but all of our until tonight, Pax and I have never talked live with each other.
Exactly.
Right? It's just every other day we're just watching each other and leaving some comments, a couple DMs, on Instagram or whatever. But it's such a weird platform, like when you think about it, because you develop these friendships without actually talking with people live, or well, not Steve and not you, I guess, Bill, because you guys are doing it all the time. But for most of us, we're not talking to people live, but still developing these close bonds, and it's weird. So it's so nice. Like, I really appreciate you inviting us on here tonight, guys, because this is like, it's so nice to like be able to talk to PAX live for once.
Oh my gosh! Yes, everything ditto.
Yeah.
Ditto.
So getting in a room would be like crazy, like.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea. You have no idea. Like, I know, seriously, it's so weird. I mean, and to come from, and I've said this before on my channel, to come from a place where I didn't have friends that read. Like, nobody in my life reads. And now I have this whole list of people that I can be like, I should send that to him. And like, honestly, and I'll use Dave as an example. When I went to Half Price Books, like, okay, I need to find a copy of The Sword of Truth to send to Dave and Olive. And I mean, that's so cool. It's so cool that it actually had a purpose. I've never done that before. I thought that was amazing. Oh, yeah. Like, I'm just like, I get to go to the store for a friend. Yeah, it's so great. I love it. And it's like Christmas. Every time you get something, it's like Christmas.
It's true. It's true.
It's true, yeah. It is. I think it's part of it is because we see each other and we we watch each other's videos, and you kind of have that connection of seeing the person and the way they speak, and kind of the way they present themselves, and you kind of, even though you may not talk live, you still feel like you know them, or you feel close to them.
Yeah. And you a lot of times I find that, because it's virtual, on a DM or in a private chat, you reveal things about each other that maybe you wouldn't even talk about with some of your other friends. And because I think you both mentioned that love, that commonality, that love for books and writing and booktubes and all that, you have these conversations that get really deep and intense, and it's all about something you both share a passion for. So yeah, it's awesome. And yeah, I my writing community friends, I mean, priceless, absolutely priceless. I can't believe, and in such a short space of time, that I've made those connections, and just these people that, you can't see yourself not being part of your life anymore. They're just there, right? People
Exactly.
like Steve, and yeah, they're just, so yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's been sorry, Steve. I don't know if you were trying to get to that.
No,
I don't
go
want to
ahead.
interrupt your comment.
No,
Okay.
go for it.
There have been so many, like a lot of things in life, right? You just kind of stumble into something by accident. It turns into a wonderful surprise. Like me starting this booktube channel was almost by accident. It was just like a thought one night, and Olive was there next to me, like she always is. And but I had no idea, like I really did have no idea like how much this was going to become. I thought it was like just taking my good reads to a video level. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I had no understanding whatsoever about the community, and one of the things I've learned about BookTube is that it's not it's not just about the books. And I think a lot of the people, what I'm seeing is that come to BookTube, a lot of it is about the books, and we all love talking about. Obviously, we love talking about them a lot, but I think a lot of people are also coming to BookTube for other reasons too. Just because I think the books are like the vehicle. Like people are coming, looking for community, and just even for mental health reasons, and I think sometimes books are just the vehicle for that, because it's something we all share in common. It's something we all love, and it's something we all can talk about together. And and I think that's wonderful. You know what I mean? That BookTube, it can be like whatever people need it to be, and sometimes it can be about the books, and sometimes it can be about other stuff that we need, and the books just gets us there, and
Right.
I'm just like mesmerized by it, because I had no idea that when I started it, that this is what BookTube would become, So.
If you'd have told me a year ago when I was sitting in front of my bookshelf, like that I would be on a live stream, yeah, I never would have believed you.
Yeah, I didn't even know they existed, right?
Or that, I mean, the anthology, everything, all of it. It's everything Dave said. Like I never would have thought in a million years.
Yeah,
It's wild. Namir has oh man, Dave, I meant to send back your copy of Things Have Gotten Worse. With the Wise Man's Fear, since it's out of print now, and of course forgot, maybe I can just send it to PAX.
Yeah. Or you want to keep that? That baby's worth some money now.
Should make a video about it, Nim. Show us.
Yeah, don't send it to me. Keep it or send it to PAX.
Yeah, we need to see those autographs. That'd be really neat to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, you send it to me. I'm showing those autographs.
That's not the one she has. She has a different
okay.
copy. I got a couple copies and gave them all away, but the other one's still. I don't know who's got it. It might be I don't know. I don't know who's got it now, but it's
We should have a few of those, a few different books flying around the country at all the time, just to.
I love it. I love it so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah,
I love
it's
just
kind of
thinking
neat.
about it. Yeah.
It's kind
I
of
love
neat.
just thinking about it. Even on like to the UK and everything else. Like it's so cool. So amazingly cool.
And to know that all your friends have touched this book, right? And that it's passed through all these.
It's the closest you're gonna get to touch them, probably.
Yeah. It's kind of neat. It's really kind of neat. So, Lana, we love Lana.
And I saw Morningstar said he wouldn't come to a horror convention. I just always assumed you would stand in the back in a mask and wouldn't speak. I'm cool with that. I'm okay with that. I'm sure Dave's okay with that too.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And,
Thanks, Juan.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Cool too.
Dave, you're too cool, I guess.
Oh, there's another one of our favorites, Taylor from Maybe Between the Pages. Her and Lana, love those two. They're just
That's
so
another
awesome.
Cool name.
They are so just lovely people. So yeah, big fans.
Mm. And so I know
Mindy, that's right. Mindy has it.
Mindy has the autographed copy. Oh, I told her she should keep it. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we should see the autographs on that one. So I'm going to put both of you on the spot. We are about halfway through the year. So what's been your favorite read so far this year?
You want to go first, Dave?
Just give me 1 second. I have one in mind. That's one of my favorites. I'm just trying to think if there were any others that maybe.
I have one that jumped to mind.
No, you go first then.
Earthlings.
Earthlings.
I'm not going to try to pronounce the author's name because I'll butcher it. It starts with an S. It's the one with the little hedgehog on the front. Yeah, that book was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I cried. I laughed. Yeah, it was just it's delightfully weird, and it ends. You never see the end coming. You'll never see the end coming at all, not in the slightest. But there are parts of that book that, like, I felt like my soul was being ripped out through the bottoms of my feet in the best possible way. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And if you are the type of person that has ever thought that you weren't good enough, if you're the type of person that you always felt like you were different or that a part of you was broken, you're going to see yourself in it in a lot of ways. It's I can hardly put words to it. It's just so powerful. I loved that book. Loved it. It was amazing.
Sold.
Yeah, I have to. Morningstar was talking a lot about that one.
Morningstar's the one that sent it to me when he sent me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I got to read that one. Yeah, I think mine is so like I said, I read different types of things, and so I think my favorite so far this year was probably my Dark Vanessa. I always pick the really disturbing ones, but by Kate Elizabeth Russell. I just thought that was that, I was definitely biased because one of my favorite books of all time is Lolita by Nabokov, and so that was, in my view, like a modern day Lolita story with another layer or two in my opinion. So yeah, that was really, I mean, it was not obviously not an easy book to read. Everybody familiar with, are you guys all familiar with that one? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So not an easy book, but it was really good. I would recommend it if you're okay. There's a clear trigger warning for it, but if if that's not an obstacle for you, I'd recommend it.
There's one for Earthlings too. Definitely. There's a warning for Earthlings too. Earthlings.
Yeah, they're both in my cart.
Yeah, you will never see the end coming for Earthlings, but it's just something else. It's something else.
And Taylor says my Dark Vanessa gutted me. Yeah. I needed a day or two to recover.
Okay, I have to put that. I've seen it, and I really have to check that one out. Taylor's taste is impeccable, and obviously, I'm sure yours are too, Dave and Pax. So I'm gonna put that. We both done went up to TBR a bit. So.
It's true. I mean, what he's saying is true. He ruined me.
Well, yeah.
So these are some of my favorite books. Are these like really disturbing ones? I don't know what that says about me, but you know.
Well, we're all the same. Like I said, Steve's rubbed off with me. All his, now he's really influencing my reading taste. And other like all of my reading, writing, blogging friends, Lana, Laura Lullabies, Taylor, all these people, meaning like they're really rubbing off in terms of what I'm selecting to read these days. And, I just find myself just gravitating towards, and I see them, Taylor calls it FOMO. Someone puts a book up, and you're like, I want that. And, like when I saw Steve, and I think it was Steve and Books Bazaar talking about, R. Scott Picker's, like, and I'd heard about it, I was like, he wasn't even really the accused on the radar, but only vaguely. And then afterwards, like, it just got to me. Malazan, another one. It's like Malazan was something. It's like, I don't know if I can handle that. And next thing you know, here I am reading Malazan. So,
Have you read all of Malazan?
no, I got through the first one, and I still feel stupid because I said this in the review. I pride myself on someone who not only reads but writes. I hope somewhat immersive world building, and but Erickson is on a different level entirely.
That one is like,
and I sat there through most of the book saying, "What's going on? What's going on?" Okay, I understand this part, but I don't understand this. Okay, I have to go back and I reread it. It didn't help me. I was like, and then I was like, you know what? I just have to relax, enjoy the read, enjoy the parts I like, take a few notes, and then some of it will make sense later on. And since then, I've gotten to comprehend a bit more, and I've done a lot of watching great booktubers like yourselves, that have all these deep dives into Miles. So I've on that book, the ones that with spoilers, and Steve has done some Miles and Adidas. So I'm committed to trying the rest of the series. I don't know, I'm even back myself to the corner here because it is actually the most challenging fantasy books that I've read so far. My favorite author is Jenny Wirtz, and she writes immersive, really lush and very, some people might find challenging writing, but Erickson, it's more just understanding all the subplots and how they're woven together, and it's really, it's like I said, I just felt dumb. Like I feel dumb. Like, why don't I should get this. I should understand where the correlation is with this, and and some did come to that, but for the most part, I spent the actual reading of it. I was like, okay, just keep going. I really like this part. This is cool. And then afterwards, I came back and tried to like more digest some of the stuff. So,
how far are you, Steve?
We just finished book 3.
Okay.
And we're taking a break.
Yeah.
We're taking a break. Those books are really dense. They take a long time to get through, and they take a lot of brain power. So
yeah,
we're taking a breather.
Gotta be in the mood for stuff.
Yeah.
Have you tried any of them packs or no?
No, the last big, I guess, and it is my favorite book series of all time. A lot of people are like, "This is a hard taper, and your favorite book series is fantasy." Bite me. Yeah, it is. It's the Sword of Truth series, but Terry Goodkind. And it's, thick books. Thick books. That's probably the last real world that I dived into like that. It's amazing.
I got like that. The first book was I was like 3/4 of the way through it before I even realized that there was a glossary in the back. Like, at least if I had known that, it would have helped, I got like 2/3 of the way through book 2. And then I was just, I liked it. I liked them both, but at that point I was just like, you know what? I need to, I don't have a ton of fantasy under my belt. So I'm like, you know what? I just need to, this is not a good, I need to set this aside. I need to read some more epic fantasy, and then I'm going to come back to this. And I actually already bought the audiobooks for book 1 and 2 so that I can redo it that way once I go back to it, because I'm definitely going to, and just not now.
Hey, y'all want to talk about fantasy? There's a new channel, the Bookish Gnome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good fantasy channel. Definitely.
Checking him out. checking him or
He's my
him or
know
her.
me.
Definitely check him out. Yeah, there's other way more, and I mean it when I say accessible in terms of the overall general comprehension. There's way more accessible fantasy books out there that are still immersive, that you can read without feeling like, just
Yeah.
that blank, deer in the headlights stare that I'm sure I had when I was reading some of this stuff. And it's not that writing wasn't great, and it's not like I didn't enjoy it, just like you said. David's not like, I didn't. It's just there's parts where I was just lost.
Yeah.
And I typically pride myself on being someone that can keep up. So you feel like intellectually inferior that you're not able to I was like, I should be grasping what's going on here. And it's
I don't know. From what I'm hearing, I think you're probably in the majority. It sounds like a lot of people had that problem.
Yeah, you're right. But hats off to Erickson. He's a brilliant writer, and I'm determined to fight there. I have the first 3 books, and I'm not going to waste that money.
Right.
So I'm going to read the first 3 books, and then lean on my friends like Steve, who've gotten and just see if I can power my way through. And then because I have a feeling that because I don't know, Pax and Dave, you guys, I mean, online, like the Malazan fans are just like, they're so numerous and so intensely passionate about their love for this series. Malazan, Wheel of Time, War of Light Sheds by Jenny Wirtz, Lord of the Rings, The Witcher, their fans are like, they live, they breathe this stuff, right? And you want to get that feeling. You want to be able to be there with them, but I don't know if it's possible. It's funny, Steve and I had it was Mihir and Blaze, 2 great bloggers, Mihir from Fantasy Book Critic and Blaze from Other Writer Books. And Mihir was like, PL, man, come to the dark side. Be on the side that doesn't like Malazan, that doesn't, that just gave up and just threw in the towel, because I guess he did. Because he was saying that, it just wasn't, for that very reason, it was just too much over, But I can see why people. Sorry?
I love to see that. I just love to see their passion for stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
fantasy fans and anime fans. That's some of the best passion ever.
Yeah. Philip Chase told me to go read Farseer, because nice easy fantasy with boy-dog relationship. So.
Oh, there you go. Companions. Yeah. I keep hearing how great it is. I just haven't started it yet. One of these days.
I have
what about you two? I'm sorry.
Sure. Go ahead.
No. I have a really high bar for fantasy. That's why I usually just stick with my blood and guts.
Yeah. So what were your 2 favorite, you 2 guys, what were your favorite book of the year so far?
Go ahead, Pat.
Oh, no.
Steve and PL.
Okay, sorry. Oh, yes, you said so. Pat. Sorry already.
Yeah.
So, Steve.
Well, this is tough. There's a couple of them that come to my mind. When you think you have your favorite book picked out, and then you read another one, and you're like, maybe this one's better. I just finished Negative Space.
I want to read that. Yeah.
This book is bonkers. It may be up there, but as of right now, if I had to choose, I think it's probably The Darkness That Comes Before. Been my favorite of the year.
Cool.
Wow. Yeah. Well, you're encouraging me, because, like I said, I'm reading it right now. So, I mean, I am enjoying it. Don't get me wrong. It's dark.
It's dark.
But
it gets worse.
but I love the fact that I'm very much into themes, like I said, and the philosophy and that seems to be very prevalent here. So I think I'm gonna like it. But if I had to pick right now, my top 10 favorite books this year, what I will say is that Jenny Wirtz has written 3 or 4 of them. So I think right now, but her book To Ride Hell's Chasm, it's a standalone. If you're gonna give Jenny Wirtz a try, and she's an iconic author. Like, I'm talking, she's an internationally best-selling author. She is iconic. She's been writing for 4 decades or more. If you want to be motivated about writing,
about anything,
about anything, watch Steve and I interview Jenny on Page Chewing. Just watch it and just listen and just go, wow. You'll just go like, wow. So she is such a dynamic, positive, motivating, brilliant. She's a writer and an artist. You should see her artwork. She's just she's on another level. I'm honored to call her a friend. She's just
Oh, that's
incredible. But I'd have to say To Ride Sales Chasm. But there's some books in there, like two or three of her other books that I've read this year are my top 10. But I want to mention, two that really in my top 10 that I can't stop thinking about. One is Beyond Redemption. I keep talking about that book, and that book is, you have to read that book. It is one of the most unique magic systems based on mental illness that you are going to read anywhere. It is just, I'm telling you,
it's crazy.
Read it. It's dark as hell. It's brilliant. Read it.
cool. That does sound pretty neat.
Read that. I have other favorite books like John Gwynne, Shadow of the Gods. I just read Hunger of the Gods sequel. It's amazing. Empire of the Vampire. That's another one of Dragon Mage by M.L. Spencer. She's an indie. 13th Hour by Trudy Skies. That's another great book. There's so many I could name. Holly's book again, We Men of Ash and Shadow. There's so many. Tim Hardy, Hollow Bones. And I read that last year. Sorry, so Sundered Souls, but his stuff is great. Jacob Sannox, Dark Oak. Bjorn Larson, Why Odin Drinks, and Children. Tons. You want indie Rex? You want fancy Rex?
Got you covered.
I got you covered. I got your back.
The time always flies on us whenever we.
It does.
Flies by.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we want to respect everyone's time, and Pax and Dave, thank you so much for coming by. We're so excited.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this since we set it up. So thank you so much for coming.
Oh my
by.
gosh, me too.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you.
This was great.
And where's Pax and Dave? Where's the best place to find you? Like your social media, or where can people connect with you?
YouTube's my favorite. So yeah, YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube or Instagram. Book Blather on Instagram too. So
YouTube's the one that I like the most. So we'll just go. I like comments and all of that jazz. So
yeah, if you comment on one of Pax's videos, she'll respond in about 10 seconds.
It's that neurosis of mine. I'm like, I love it though. I love it.
And PL, where can people get in touch with you?
Twitter is my preferred social media handle. Find me on Twitter. On Steve's channel, when we do page shooting, Before We Go blog, as we talked about, that Steve and I are both members of, www.beforewegoblog.com. That's where you'll find most of my reviews, and on Goodreads. PL Stuart Writes, at PL Stuart Writes is my Twitter handle. And my website for the books, my website, www.plstuart.com. That's where you can find out all about the Dragon Kingdom Saga. But really and truly, Twitter. DMs are open. You have a question, you want to talk writing, fantasy, horror, anything. I say hi, and love making connections. And
Nice. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for coming by. Thanks everyone in the chat who had some great comments and great questions. Really appreciate you spending your Saturday evening with us. So hope everyone has the great rest of your night. We'll talk to you soon.
Yes. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.